Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. And today we have 5 new decks for you. That's right, not 4. We've got a new deck for each card coming to Spotlights today, including a review of Fenris Wolf, the new card coming to Marvel Snap. And we've got the #1 deck in Marvel Snap. A Thanos deck has taken over the #1 spot, climbing an absolutely insane amount from 9 all the way to 1, but 1 in a dominating fashion within just a couple of days. So we're going to talk about all of that and more today, so make sure you stay tuned for the whole video. We're going to begin with our spotlight card, which is Fenris Wolf. Fenris Wolf is a 2/3, Series 5, 6,000 tokens. Activate, resurrect the highest power discarded or destroyed enemy card to your side of this location, which means you need to leave space in Fenris Wolf lane. If you can leave that space, Fenris Wolf is going to be incredibly strong. A lot of people are just going to be running this with Shang and Killmonger, and I think that's fine if the Scar deck remains extremely popular, but I would guess the Scar deck takes a dip in popularity for the week in that case, because both Moon Knight and Shang-Chi will make that opponent have so freaking much power against that deck right now. So what I think is going to happen instead is we're going to see a lot of like funkier builds with Fenris Wolf sort of take the stage. I think this card is firmly middling. I think this is a very exciting reading card. This sounds like an extremely powerful card, and it's not bad by any means, but I don't expect this to be one of the better cards of the month. I think it's going to just be a fine card in certain niche decks. If you want to get this, that's totally fine. It does seem like a fun card, but it does not seem like an incredibly powerful card. We're going to continue to review the spotlights as we talk about the rest of the cards before we make a final decision on Fenris Wolf, which I will give you once we're done talking about all 3 cards. But my basic TLDR opinion of Fenris Wolf is that this is going to be a good card, but a niche one, and one that you probably don't want for most decks, despite it reading as an extraordinarily exciting card. However, a lot of people think this is going to be the best card of the month, so either the common consensus of the community is going to be wrong, or I am, and we'll find out relatively quickly. The Fenris Wolf deck we're going to share is Rorem's Mon Chéri. This is a really cool deck. It is a Surfer discard list, but it's also running like the Black Bolt Moon Knight stuff with it. It's got Fenris Wolf, obviously, as a way to say whatever you kill with Gambit or whatever you discard with Moon Knight or Black Bolt gets brought back on your side, and that's obviously extremely powerful. And then you can like do all that stuff while you're winning with Surfer. It's a very, very simple and straightforward game plan that should be very, very effective. There are a couple changes I might want to make here. Like, I'm not 100% sold on either Cassandra Nova or Nova himself in this list, but you do want Killmonger in this very, very Thanos-filled meta. Because you want to get rid of all those ones so that Gambit's guaranteed to hit something good so that you can get back that thing with Fenris Wolf. But hey, if Killmonger hits a demon and then you get back a demon with your Fenris Wolf, you just played a 2/9, right? You're not too sad about that at the end of the day. So like there's a lot to like here, but this is where I'm starting with Fenris Wolf because I'm a content creator, so I get all the cards to test them, but I'm not sold on anything. I do like this because I feel like this list can win without Fenris Wolf, and a lot of the lists we're seeing are a little too all-in, where if they don't see Wolf, they don't really do anything. You can find Rorem, a top 100 player, at twitch.tv/RoremPlays. Rorem's awesome, really kind person. Do go check him out. He has some really cool brews, and again, is in the top 100 with these cool brews. This deck needs Fenris Wolf and Hope Summers. Red Guardian can be Rogue. Cassandra Nova I will replace with Negasonic in my version. Cassandra Nova is here because Arishem is back and Thanos is all over the place. So Cassandra Nova is this like incredible card right now. It's 100% worth playing, but I really, really, really want Negasonic in this list, and I think that's the only spot I can really find for it. Proxima Midnight can be Swarm. Is Swarm better than Proxima? No, absolutely not, but it is a change that you are more than welcome to make. All right, so our day 1 Fenris Wolf deck will be this. Turn 1, you want Nova. Turn 2, you want Wolf. Turn 3 is Cassandra or Hope. Generally speaking, I prefer Hope, but sometimes you're going to need that extra power. If you don't have Wolf in hand, you can also drop Moon Knight. I'd probably go Hope, then Moon Knight, then Cassandra as my plays, especially Moon Knight if you have Proxima. Turn 4 is Wolf or another 3. If you can drop Stature at this point because you drop Moon Knight, that's perfectly fine. If you can drop Nova at this point because you drew Nova, that's perfectly fine. Turn 5 is Black Bolt or Moon Knight and Wolf. This is your Moon Knight Wolf turn if all else has failed. You'll be able to get that card back on the last turn of the game. And then turn 6, Gambit and Surfer. And then you should be able to win most of these games because you're putting up a lot of power with Gambit. You're discarding a lot of their stuff, and it's really powerful. We're going to take one last look at this very cool deck from Aurorum, and then we will go forward. Again, this will be where I'm starting. I like that it has a decent mix of discard and destroy without going too all in with Fenris Wolf, which I think is going to be a concerning play pattern. I think a lot of people are going to go all in, and then the games where you don't draw Fenris Wolf, you'll die. Now, it's possible, given our experiences with Scream, that even with that, Fenris Wolf can be a good card. Even if you have to go all in and draw the card to win, it can be a good card. But I don't like starting necessarily with super all-in lists, so this is where I'm going to begin. I think it's going to be very strong. Roram has played other versions of this without Fenris Wolf to reasonable success, so I see little reason that this one shouldn't be good once we just add a really, really powerful card to it. Before we go further, I'm going to ask you to hit that sub button, like, and comment. We're trying to hit 16,000 subs by the end of 2024. We're almost there, and with your amazing support, we can get there. Our original goal was 15,000, but we burst right through that. So if you could help us get to 16,000, I'd appreciate it. In return, we're going to give you 7 days a week of videos. Today we'll have 2 videos, and I think tomorrow we'll have 2 videos also. So this will be a 9 video week. Yeah, that's right, a 9 video week. So if you're interested in the most consistent Marvel Snap content that covers absolutely everything, this is the channel for you. We do everything from bundle guides to new card reviews to deck guides and everything in between. We've even got a custom card challenge that I will be completing literally as soon as I have time in a video. We are also giving away a season pass this week. We announced our season pass winner for last week's giveaway last week. We give away a season pass a week. So if you want Surtur, please make sure you like and subscribe. And then later this video, I'm going to tell you what comment to leave. You leave that comment, you are entered to win the season pass. All right, the new number 1 deck. When I made this was top 5. BBAK climbed from nowhere. He had taken a giant break from Marvel Snap, the February number 1 player, and I think March or April number 2 player had taken a giant break from Marvel Snap. I think he was also number 2 in like June. He was number 2 several times, whatever. Had taken a giant break from Snap, given away his account. He took his account back, and all of a sudden, he climbed to number 9 with the discard list we featured in Sunday's video. Then he climbed from 9 to top 5 with this Thanos list. Well, the past 2 days, he's been in firm command of the number 1 spot, playing this exact same Thanos list, which is just through the roof power. This is Thanos Zoo Classic. Unfortunately, this deck is a little expensive. Thanos tends to be a little expensive, but there is one card you can replace. Hey, usually that card is Kyara. I want to talk for a quick moment before we go on about Kyara. I don't know if you remember that card we just talked about that's coming out. And yeah, so this week, Fenris Wolf is going to put a lot of Killmonger into the meta. With all that Killmonger in the meta, you need Kyara for this list. Generally speaking, Kyara is a very cuttable card from Thanos lists. However, currently, you're absolutely going to need that card. All clear? Make sure you have Kyara if you're going to run this version of Thanos that actually cares about its ones right now. If you are don't have Kyara, you should check on Saturday's video. We covered a Thanos Destroy list. That Thanos Destroy list still has a great win rate. It's not number 1, but still has a great win rate and will be better into a Killmonger meta because you just get the benefits of the Destroy without having to do the destroying yourself. Hopefully that makes sense for everybody. You can find BBAK at twitter.com/BBAK_snap. If you check the Infinite Leaderboard, BBAK Snap is listed as KABB. He reversed his name. This needs Thanos, Marvel Boy, Gilgamesh, Mockingbird, and Kyara for this week especially. Marvel Boy is just too much power to not have, I think, in this list at this point. I think Marvel Boy is what really turns this from a tier 2 to a tier 1 deck. Gilgamesh gets bigger than anything. Gilgamesh is the biggest 5-drop you can run in this type of deck. And Mockingbird's basically free, right? Between having Shauna and then having the stones, Mockingbird is just too cheap in this deck not to run. Hydra Bob is not especially important. It could be Nico, and you could also try Armor. Also like Iceman. All right, let's go quick card by card here. Ant-Man and Hydra Bob are just your extra ones. You want some ones with stats, and none of the stones do stats anymore. The Soul Stone used to be really powerful as far as just an in-lane stone. Now you only really have the Power Stone, which is only a 3, so you need some ones with stats, ones that will get big and be able to challenge a lane. That's what Ant-Man and Hydra Bob offer you. You can replace Hydra Bob for that reason. He is just a stat stick. Dazzler is huge as a 2-drop. As a 2/2, Dazzler becomes a 2/8. That's obviously a ton of power. You almost always are able to fill all of your lanes thanks to Shauna in this list, which means you just get access to what basically one of the biggest early series 2-drops. Marvel Boy in 3, if you get things going right, plays for like 12 power. That's obviously top-notch power. You see how powerful Surtur is. Marvel Boy in puts up similar power in the majority of games if you get him on curve. You must have Marvel Boy for this list. He's incredible. We talked about Kara in the previous portion, but in this meta with Killmonger everywhere, please play this list with Kara. If you're looking at your opponent's list and they might have Killmonger, just drop that Kara, you won't be sad. Shauna can be hard to fit into curve, but she basically means immediate free Mockingbird or close enough to free Mockingbird immediately with the stones in the list, and immediate Marvel Boy Prophet, immediate Khazar or Blue Marvel Prophet. She's incredibly important and incredibly strong, a card you must have. Blue Marvel and Khazar are the Series 1 cards that are still hanging out with us. Zoo meta staples. The redundancy that Marvel Boy, Khazar, and Blue Marvel provide with your stones, plus when you get combinations of them, how big and silly you get, is enough to put pressure on multiple lanes, is enough to win games of Marvel Snap. Devil Dino and Gilgamesh are your lane winners when your opponent is going tall. Your opponent's got a Scar lane that you really want to compete in, you can drop a Gilgamesh. You're worried opponent's going to Cosmo it, you've got like a Devil Dino. Because you have so much draw and so many cards, it is very easy to have a very full hand in order for Devil Dino to be huge. Plus, with either Blue Marvel or Khazar, your Gilgamesh is likewise stellarly huge. They're as big, or almost as big, as two of your opponent's Scar cards, which puts this at the top of the meta. Which is nice because you also get a free Mockingbird. They get a free Scar, you get a free Mockingbird. Again, slightly smaller, but you have all these other smaller plays to make up the difference in cost. And Thanos is not a card you especially want to play, but once in a while, he's a 20 power card, right? And there's worse things than what usually is a 5/11 that can't be discarded, can't be destroyed. So that has extra value now, and again, we'll be seeing a lot of Shang-Chi, right? Kara helps the Shang-Chi, and if you're not Devil Dinoing or Gilgameshing till 6, there's nothing for the opponent to Shang-Chi. It's really, really hard for them to interact with and beat you. Even their Moon Knight will likely be targeting Thanos, and so what? You can make sure that doesn't happen, right? And then you win the game. There's a lot to like about this list. Every bit of this works perfectly together. Thanos Zoo is finally meta. So turn 1, you want to draw stone. Mind Stone is still a snap condition here. Turn 2 is more stones that draw, is better than Dazzler. Turn 3, Marvel Boy Kara. Turn 4, Marvel Boy 1 is better than Khazar, assuming you have 3 1s out at that point, is better than Kara or Pending. So Khazar is going to give all your 1s plus 1, right? Marvel Boy is going to give 3 plus 1, then 3 plus 1 more, then 3 1 more, right? So Marvel Boy scales upwards, Khazar is static, so you want to get Marvel Boy out first. Kara obviously is pending the assumption of Killmonger. Turn 5 is Blue Marvel or Dino or Khazar plus 1. You can also just hold Dino till last turn, but like Dino's, there's usually a relatively safe space to Dino. If you can find that, drop Dino. If you can't find that, then Blue Marvel, Khazar plus 1. Also, Mockingbird's perfectly fine here. Turn 6, Dino, Thanos, Mockingbird, or Shauna, or Gilgamesh. You want to basically figure out, if you didn't play Mockingbird earlier, how to Mockingbird and play another card. If Mockingbird's 1, you can play with Dino, Thanos, or Gilgamesh. That's awesome. Sometimes you can play Mockingbird and Shauna here. Sometimes you'll see you have Mockingbird, Shauna on 5 along with something else, and then be able to play a free Mockingbird with Gilgamesh, Thanos, Dino, whatever. And then you win, right? Like, this deck is awesome. It is just an absurd amount of power in Marvel Snap. Play it. Get to know it. Love it. This is going to be everywhere as the number 1 deck for the foreseeable future. I know you're probably seeing a lot of arishem Thanos. I think this is better, honestly. I just think this is a better deck, although I do have a lot of respect for the power of, arishem Thanos. Next up, Annihilus Galactus. So one last look at this before we get to Annihilus, which is what we're going to talk about as another spotlight card, and here is this amazing top 5 Thanos. Don't forget, there's a secret deck at the end of the video. If you'd like to see gameplay from these decks, please check out the stream team. Today is Tuesday, so the great Prashaun will be streaming at 12 p.m. Eastern. Go check him out. Gregor2424 will have a YouTube video out at some point today with yesterday's decks as well. All right, Annihilus is 5/6 on reveal. Your cards with power below 0 switch sides, destroy those that can't. So Annihilus spent a period of time, basically from December to like February or March, as one of the 2 or 3 best cards in Marvel Snap. It has since completely fallen off. This is an okay card that is not great. It has an occasional home. It's not a card you're sad to have, but it's not one to go out of your way to get. This is not a requirement of a card. It is just fine. Don't go crazy for it. That is to say, I like this card a lot and I want it to be meta, but I don't think that time is ever really coming again. Our Annihilus sample deck is Annihilus Galactus, and I think this is a really cool deck. This is wildly fun, right? If you can get Galactus off with priority, right? Thanks to Hobgoblin, Green Goblin, Sentry type shenanigans, right? Annihilus sending the Void over, etc. Galactus is going to, if you're lucky, pull Angel into that lane, which gives you 9 power plus all the negative stuff in order to win the lane. It's a really great idea from Fazor. I like it a lot. It's very clever. Um, However, the caveat is Galactus is memey, right? At least until Galacta comes out, and then you don't really want goblins with Galacta. Galactus is a memey card, um, which is sort of where Annihilus fits right now. He's in some very strange decks, right? He's in an occasional Pixie Shell. He's in stuff like Galactus. He's not in just tier 1 kick-ass decks anymore, which I think is worth knowing, at least until Sentry gets rebuffed. You can find Fazor at twitter.com/Fazor_snap. This deck needs Annihilus and Galactus. Cassandra Nova can beat Polaris. Cassandra Nova's here because Arishem's all over the place. All right, so turn 1 you want Hood, turn 2 you want Bucky, and you're trying to pile as much of this up in one lane as possible. If you know you have Annihilus, you can play Hood in the far right lane because you know that's very likely to be where you get your Sentry over, which means that's where you're Galactusing. Turn 2 Bucky, turn 3 Goblin over Cassandra over Viper, turn 4 Sentry or a 3, right? You can just drop Goblin now or Viper now. Turn 5 is Annie or Hobgoblin. And then turn 6 is Thanos or Destroy Cards and Demon. What? That should say Galactus. Weird word. Galactus, or then if you don't have Galactus, you can like Carnage the Bucky and Hood, Viper a different Viper the Sentry, and just go to town that way, right? And then play a demon. And that's usually enough power. So after this, we're gonna look at our second Wolf deck of the week. But this is like the kind of thing that Annihilus goes in. If you must play this list, you must have Annihilus. However, I don't think you must play this list. I think Fazor created a really cool list, a really fun list that can be successful, but its power lies in surprise factor. That's where Annihilus lives right now. If that's your kind of deck, then Annihilus is worth looking into. If that's not your kind of deck, it's a card to skip. Werewolf by Night is a 3/2. After you play a card, move there to gain +2 power if it has an on-reveal. Simple enough, right? Any card with an on-reveal, Werewolf jumps and gets +2 power. Werewolf is a very, very powerful card. It is a very skill-intensive card. It's one of the more fun cards in Marvel Snap and one of my favorite cards in Marvel Snap. The caveat that goes along with that saying about Werewolf is that if you're not really good with bounce, if you're not going to play this a lot, and this is not in any meta decks, then Werewolf is a card you don't need to own. Further, if you're seeing almost any Scream absolutely destroys Werewolf. It's fundamentally impossible to win a Werewolf game unless you have a lot of other move if the opponent plays Scream. For those reasons, Werewolf, which is one of my very favorite cards in Marvel Snap, is one that you should not be going out of your way to get right now, unfortunately. So you don't need Werewolf as much as I love Werewolf. We're going to look at .geo's Werewolf by Geo list as we talk about Werewolf. So this is a Werewolf list that I've had a really high win rate with. It has a 60% win rate on Snap Zone. It's been a successful list. It relies real heavily on seeing exactly Werewolf and Iron Man. Werewolf doesn't especially play nice with every other card. It plays really nice with Black Swan and ones, but you can't but if you're playing cards like Bishop that don't trigger it, that wants to be played the same turn, right? You can fit a Sage in there, but Agent Venom giving it a +1 power, like this card just doesn't play super nice with others. It's a powerful card. This deck can be successful, but it's a long way from tier 1, whereas the Monkey versions are tier 1, and Hit Monkey is a series 4 card, while Werewolf is a series 5 card. I really like this list. I think it's really strong. Should you be playing it right now? It's hard to argue that the answer to that is yes, even if I do like it a lot. So you can find .geo at twitter.com/.geo. He doesn't really post a lot, but he is the January #1 player using, of all things, a Werewolf Annihilus list. This deck needs Black Swan, Werewolf by Night, and Toxin. So an important Toxin note, let's go back. Toxin is not needed for Monkey Bounce, because for Monkey Bounce, you can replace Toxin with Mysterio. You don't want Mysterio in a Werewolf by Night list, right? Because you don't want Mysterio in a Werewolf by Night list, you absolutely must have Toxin. The bounce is also much more important here because every bounce lets you move Werewolf more. Agent Venom can be Bast, like literally, you're losing the power on the card, but you get an extra 1 instead, and it's a perfectly fine change. With Bast, be careful with your demons. Toxin is needed here. Again, Monkey versions can run Mysterio. Nico, Ham, and Sable are just the best in slot ones. Hydra Bob, Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Iceman. Pick some ones that have on reveals, please. I know Hydra Bob doesn't, but he at least big. All right, so turn 1, Hood over Sable over Hemp. Turn 2, Agent over Swan over ones. Turn 3, Wolf over Agent over Swan over ones and bounce. Turn 4, Swan and bounce. And this is where it actually gets important because it's like play Hood, play Agent or Swan, play Wolf. You must get Swan out by turn 4, or you have to play Bishop on ones on turn 5. You must have one of those two things or you're dead. So if you get Swan and Bounce going on turn 4, you can hopefully replay and bounce again on turn 5. And then you trigger the Black Swan, and then you play all the free ones, leave Werewolf where you want, and then end with Iron Man. Generally speaking, I win with Iron Man and a couple Demons or Rocket in order to like let Wolf solo another lane. Because Wolf, when this goes well, can solo another lane. But when it goes poorly, if you draw it a little late, if any you don't see enough ones for whatever reason, this list just falls apart. Cool. This list is awesome. You should play it. If you must play Werewolf. If you get Werewolf. But you shouldn't get Werewolf and expect a heavy learning curve. Cool? All right, our season pass question is, are you opening this week? Why or why not? I'm going to tell you straight up. This is, to me, seems like the easiest skip week of the month, period. I think that Fenris Wolf is a very, 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 very wait and see card that I don't expect to be very good. I think Annihilus and Werewolf are both former meta cards that are basically out of the meta and honestly should probably series drop so that they get some extra relevance. But you make your choice. Are you planning to open this week? Are you spending tokens this week? Why or why not? What are you looking for? Why are you doing that? A quick reminder so everyone knows, Thursday I get a bunch of top players to give me their review of the new card. So I'll have a top player review of Fenris Wolf in Thursday's video. Friday I'll have a weekend review where I combine the information from top players with the stats from Untapped. And then Monday I do a last chance review. So we have everything you need in order to determine whether or not you should get this card coming up for you throughout the rest of the week. Like you get nothing, no benefit from buying it right away, right? Like you don't get like extra tokens or extra gold for getting the card on day one. As long as you get it for weekend missions, you still get all the rewards you need. That's why we do the Thursday, Friday, Monday pattern for the new card. We want to make sure that you have the most information possible, you're armed with the most information possible before you make any decisions. All right. I hid this deck. I'm not even going to pretend I didn't. I'm in love with this deck, and part of its power is its shock value. This is Ajaxless Ajax, right? What this deck fundamentally does is your opponent's playing around Ajax and working on winning that way. You've got Red Guardian to hopefully handle their Luke if they're dumb enough to play that early. But even if they're not, you've got Shang-Chi and Shadow King to steal the game. Where they're sitting there going, oh no, Ajax, you're going to spend your last turn going, here's a Shang-Chi and here's a Valentina card. Here's a Shang-Chi and here's a Malekith that's going to pull a Shadow King or a Luke Cage or whatever. And that kind of thing is just absolutely backbreaking and game winning. Wiccan is so good in this list. This list is absolutely incredible. It's really, really consistent to get Wiccan in this list as far as this goes by turn 4 or turn 5. So feel free to go to frickin' town with this list. I love it. This is an Andre Var list. Andre Var created one of our favorite Ajax lists last season, one of our favorite Ajax Wiccan lists last season that he continued to climb with. He hit top 5 with this one. This deck needs Kate, Wiccan, Man-Thing, US Agent, and Malekith. It borderline needs Valentina. Valentina for that extra 4-drop is huge in this list fairly often. Kate says if I missed a 3, I can play a 2 and a 1 on turn 3 to keep enabling Wiccan. Man-Thing is, I think I'm starting to think of Man-Thing as just the new Darkhawk. He's a 4/11 that just like doesn't hurt you and wrecks opponents' lanes. US Agent, I don't know if you've seen all the Scar all around, especially today. So you should play US Agent. And then Malekith is huge. Malekith's consistency adding is part of what makes this deck so good. It's part of what makes this deck work. This deck has so many good hits for Malekith. Quicksilver will be on the board. You're fine hitting Shadow King, US Agent, Luke, Red Guardian, or Copycat. You don't really want to hit Valentina or Kate, but even if you do, you played a 4/9. You're happy with a 4/9. All right, so Valentina can be Cable or Mirage. Red Guardian can be Rogue. Copycat can be Cassandra Nova or Mobius. Nice and simple, right? Nothing super complicated here. Cassandra Nova's not great coming out of Malekith. That's why it's not in the deck. Mobius isn't great coming out of the same card, so that's why it's not in the deck. But you'll be fine if you decide to make that change. Red Guardian for Rogue, because what you're really trying to deal with is Luke Cage bullshit here. Valentina for Cable Mirage because they help you have extra cards to play, which is sort of what you're looking for, but you really want a powerful card to play, hence the Valentina. All right, this is the best deck for a top 5 to 10 player. I'm not sure what Andre Var's rank is literally right this second. I honestly forgot to check before I hit record, but Andre Var was rank 5 with this yesterday afternoon, and I'm sure hasn't fallen within the top 5-10 spots. I also played this deck on whatever day of the week it was, Sunday as of this recording, and I went like 5-0 and felt very, very strong. Turn 1 is Quicksilver. Turn 2, Kate if you need a 2, Valentina if not. Sorry, if you need a 1, you play Kate if you need to be able to go 2+1 on the next turn, and Valentina if you have the full curve. Turn 3 is Luke, is better than any other 3 or 2+1. Honestly, you just want to get Luke out. If Copycat's right, you play Copycat. If Red Guardian can hit the right card, you play Red Guardian. You get the idea. Turn 4, Wiccan over Malekith over Man-Thing. Nice and simple. Wiccan is the key to the card. Wiccan is a snap deck. Wiccan is a snap condition. Malekith is great. Gives you a better chance of drawing Wiccan on 5. That's why you're playing it over Man-Thing there. Man-Thing is just your power. Turn 5, Wiccan if you got it. If not, you're playing Malekith here. But what you'd really like to do is you'd like to go 3+2. Or if you've got Wiccan, you can go 4+3. And then turn 6 is Shang on another 4 or 2/2s. So if you can go Shang, Shadow King, US Agent, right? Like that's pretty freaking strong for a last turn of the game. And that's what this deck allows you to do. It allows you to do all these insane control plays that your opponent cannot know you have while keeping behind on Pariah with cards like Malekith, while saying Malekith is going to draw a Cosmo or a Malekith is going to draw a Cosmo or an Alioth, but even if it draws Alioth, if you can read that that's coming, like you can just play like a Copycat in that lane, and now all of a sudden, like you've got at least a 9. Now you've got 14 power in that lane, and that's often enough to win. Like there's a lot of ways to like leverage this deck. I think this is one of the best and coolest decks in Marvel Snap. I love decks that top out at like 3 or 4 cost, and this is one of those. And just stellar list. Play it. Questions of the day. R.S. Berry asks how I decide the order of decks each video. All right, here's the exact order. I only have a real order for 4. Cool. So when there's 4 decks in the video, deck 1 is something generally that I think is going to have wide appeal. Anyone who clicks on the video, I want you to be interested if you see deck 1. Deck 2 is whatever made the best thumbnail, honest to God. Number 1 deck is always a good thumbnail. Something unexpected is always a good thumbnail. Something with a super high win rate is always a good thumbnail. Deck number 2 is always a good thumbnail. Deck 3 is often something that's very powerful but semi-expected, so this is a powerful list that you might be able to see on someone else's channel at some point, a really strong list. And Deck 4 is something that I think that is extremely powerful, but most people will not know about, and I'm trying to give a reward to the viewers who watch the whole video. That is the order of the decks in almost every video. You can let me know what you think about it, but that is my general goal for order of decks. Jobs asks about Marvel Snap creators on Blue Sky, and if you check Griffin, Griffin WB is the Marvel Snap PR person. He made a tweet. He pinned the tweet. He made a whatever we call it on Blue Sky, a skeet. He made a skeet and pinned it, and then a bunch of Marvel Snap people replied. And there's someone else who's doing the same thing, but I don't remember who. If I figure it out, I'll let you know. But there are a bunch of creators on Blue Sky. I need to start using Blue Sky. Blue Sky has exactly one real problem for me. I can't bookmark, so when people send decks, I have to make it right then and there, or I can't get it. But I am going to try to start throwing Snap creators Blue Skies in where possible when I share their decks in order to promote the platform and get people off the hell site that is Twitter. Patreon.com/snapjudgments is one of the best ways to support us. The $10 patrons and up get thanks every video. Thank you to Abigail Giesland, Mandatory Burnout, Irregardless, David G. Wingfield, Dirty Casual, Danton, LAB, FaThorNewman, Good Dog Gamer, Inc., I Am Frostman, Je Navalit, Thinking Poker, Prime Brian, Good Conversation Thinking Poker, Prime Brian of Prime Mind fame, Ryan Burke, Ryan Wood, Caretix Koi Ray. It's getting late. I'm going to sleep, so that's why we're flying a little bit. Black Dahlia, Pyrofrost, The Goat Seeker, Hollowed, Quid Pro Joe, Fat Nick, Mr. Kerfuffle, Ginger Prime, Philip Rakovich, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of That Danger Zone, Rob Silman, The Bizza, Black Jeebus 23, Express V and Skippy G, Jessica Gamble, Hey Jess, Tommy Unikas to One Side League Season 1, The King of Bros, Bruh, The Great Kazoo, Kepsi Hoda, Lunar Chris, Corwin, John Q, Jimmy Miku, Clam, Colonel Forbin, 8th Sage, Models Mod Supreme, The Green Goblin, Unibot, Flan56, Steven, Brian Kaufman, Tristan A. Martin, Jason B, The Fuzzy Dom, Spectrumix, Hoot, congrats on Infinite, my friend, Hoot, Matt H, the only one we need, DJ Mickey Hijinks, No Flex, Ocularis, Mr. Craig Sterry, BG, Zodrex, check him out on Twitch, King of Canada on Twitch and YouTube, Demman Falcon on YouTube, Spike Jones on YouTube, The Great Historical Two Ties. Our friend Lauren Woodebs, who has a killer article going over the on Marvel Snap Zone, going over the I don't know, the free stuff they're giving us for messing up credits. I'm really tired and I forgot the word. Shh. The Pirate King Tuccrr, and of course Gunny T, where the T stands for I just came back from Wicked. Apparently Wicked is a 2-part movie, which I did not realize, but it gets to the good part by the end of the first one. I thought it was really good. I love the play, and I was really happy to see it. If you'd like to see the deck that's fighting for number 1 with this one, check right there. And I'll see you later today for the podcast, and then tomorrow for another Snap Take, and then tomorrow again for our second video. We just got a lot of content coming. Get ready. Peace.